Welcome to the I Fired My Boss franchise podcast. My name's Dan Claps, founder and CEO of Franchise Playbook, a franchisor platform where we create, own, and operate dynamic franchise brands in the mobile services space. And my life's goal is to help people just like you fire their boss and become a business owner.
And I'm Christian Dadalak, top franchise consultant and co-founder of Real Franchising, a leading franchise consulting firm. And together, we're on a mission to help people fire their boss, hire themselves, and live the American dream through franchise ownership.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the I Fired My Boss podcast with your host, Dan Claps. It's Saturday in December. What's today? Going by quick. The 19th, 20th? I don't know. I have a wedding today. I should know the date here. What is today? The 20th. Making a quick podcast before heading out to New Jersey to see a good friend of mine get married. But when I was working this morning, I was thinking about this topic and I wanted to bring it to the podcast, which is pause here, which is lessons I've learned on how to advertise your business, whether it's a home service franchise or a fitness franchise or really any business. It can be real estate, you can be a lawyer, a dentist, doctor, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, in 2026 and 2027 and in the future overall, content is going to win. Content is just one of the most important things you need to do. We used to watch TV and listen to radio. Now TV is across, multiple streaming services. We have multiple social media platforms. And at the end of the day, we need to be able to win attention from people. And so one of the things I recently learned that I wasn't doing, and I think is a good lesson to share, is if you're consistently making content, you have to understand that your content has to follow the same frameworks that any important or any larger content follows, which, for example, I've been making a lot of content, great videos. And we were watching a video that we made for the Voda toy drive recently. And I thought it was such a cool video with the holiday music. And if you go to my Instagram, you can see it. And the truck is driving it in the beginning of the video. And Antonia actually mentioned, no one's gonna watch that because our attention spans are so short, right? The average person, when they see a truck on, driving on Instagram, unless they're a Voda franchise owner or something, they're not going to care, right? And you have to really be able to hook them in the first, not even the first 3 seconds, the first millisecond. And I thought it was a really good point. I started thinking about it more, and I went back and I looked at all of my content, and I was like, a lot of the content of what I'm saying in these reels and these shorts and these long form pieces, they're good, but there's no hook. And I started changing that, and I'm starting to see now, as we're looking at the analytics, that it's definitely changing a little bit. And so, for example, and keep in mind, when I make content, I'm not trying to go viral. I don't need lots of likes or followers. At the end of the day, I'm making the content for the audience that matters to me, and that's all that that's my only goal. Is to educate people in the Voda system, potential Voda owners, other franchise owners, potential brand acquisitions in the future, partners, recruiting people, etc. So my goal is really just providing value through content, through education. But why not create it where it could get more attention from, let's say, a prospective franchise owner out there in the universe? And so, one of the things that I've learned from this exercise is, well, how do I make content that people actually like? And, if it's not growing, you have to be realistic and say, okay, well, it's not growing. It's not good enough. And so I've been doing a lot of reflecting. And there was a couple of things that yesterday during a session with our creative director, Teddy, we realized, which was number one, I've been so focused on my career around there's puddles, there's ponds, and then there's lakes, right? Or oceans, when you think of bodies of water, right? And when you think about this from a marketing perspective, a puddle would be like the franchise space. Obviously still a big industry, but it's small, right? And so when I started my content years and years ago, everything I did was focused on the franchise industry. The only reason I have any level of influence, being ranked top 100 influencers in the space for the past 3 years, top 50 for the past year, and hopefully top 10 this year. By the way, if you could vote for me, that'd be great. But because I stuck all of my content to the franchise space, right? If you like Alex Hormozy or Ryan Serhan or Corey Sanchez, like they can talk about things that are general business or even further along health and wellness because first they dominated in a very specific niche. So, for example, Alex Hormozi was gyms. Then, when he succeeded in the gym space with content, he was able to move. That was like his puddle, right? Then his pond was moving to like business overall, right? And now he can really talk about anything motivational. And that's like the ocean where he can talk about anything. When you're first starting out, you got to focus on puddles. And so for me, the puddle's always been franchising. And then this past year, we changed the strategy to focus on an even niche down, but a larger audience or what I would consider our pond, which was the home services space. And so I went after franchise home service lead generation. I wanted to be the category king of that specific topic. And I want to be the leader of that specific topic. And the realization that I had and Teddy had yesterday was why it's not working, which is, I think, has to do with, is it really who I am? Is it genuinely who I am? No. Like Tommy Mello is one of my favorite home service influencers. He's been in the home service space his whole career. It's like what he lives and breathes. I love home services, don't get me wrong, but it's not my entire business makeup or personality. And so it was like, well, what could we create that, provided more value? And it's like, well, what would be more authentic? And so it was interesting because I wrote down on this paper, kind of the different things that I was thinking. And it looks like I might have thrown it out actually. Um, oh, I don't know where it is, but what I wrote down was basically, you know, myself, right? So who am I? I'm a regular guy from a regular background. I grew up, pretty regular, not poor, not rich, middle, upper middle class. I was able to become successful through hard work, a little bit of luck, the right timing, and everything else. Um, and that's really it. I'm from New Jersey. I live in New York City. I like to have fun, but I like to work hard. I don't have a ton of hobbies outside of golf. Bad golf, bad skiing, and the gym. And I love to build a business, and like that's kind of who I am. Uh, I like nice things. I'm not, a home service, from the home service space. And it's not that people at home service don't like nice things, but what I'm saying is like I come from, a certain, standard of wanting to live a certain way and certain luxury. And so it's like, all right, well, maybe I need to completely change the approach that I've been taking and showcase who I am more. And I think that the biggest thing what I'm trying to say here is the realization was, and it seems simple, but just be you. Like you got to make content that's completely what you love. And so my breakthrough was, what if I start making content for myself for me 10 years ago? Like what would 10 year ago, what would 23-year-old Dan want to hear if you got a chance to sit down and talk to me now or listen to a podcast? It's like, well, what would I have loved to have known then if I could go back in time? And so like, all right, well, like I'm going to start to talk to 23-year-old me, right, or 15-year-old me, and teach myself back then the things that I know now, that if I knew then, I can't even imagine where I'd be today, which is impossible, right? Everything's 2020 in hindsight. But how could I teach myself back then these things? And obviously, if I could do that, there's other people out there that will also get value from that. And one of my favorite music producers, Rick Rubin, talks about when you make music or art or really anything, if creating anything, it should be two things. One, it's like, think of it like an offering to God or an offering to the universe. You're making something for the sake of making it. And number two, you're making it because you love it. And if you make something that you love and you focus on something that you love, others will most likely as well. And if they don't, then fine. But so what I'm going to be doing in 2026 with my content is just getting really way more authentic and genuine and sharing with you more around the niche that I think is going to make more sense. And so I'm still identifying that. I told you about me. I think what I know how to do, if I really boil it down, I know how to recruit great people. I know how to put deals together in a way that I think is very unique. I'm very good at putting win-win-win deals together is what I consider them, not a win-win deal. Right? People say win-win. No, it's a win-win-win, meaning I win, you win, and somebody else wins, right? Like how can we triple dip the outcome here? And I think that's something I'm really good at. I think I'm really great at, recruiting and retaining amazing people, putting them into compensation structures that are really motivating and fair and structured the right way. And I think I'm good at, acquisitions, M&A, recruiting, as I'm saying. Obviously, the franchise industry is something I've done my whole career, right? So I'm very knowledgeable at that. So it's like, how do I put all of that into one thing, right? For young, I'm in my early 30s. Like I said, regular guy from a regular background. And so who could I teach and help with this content? And so we're going to figure that out. But what I will tell you is if you're listening to this, you're probably right now in either franchising or home services or probably those two, verticals, or you're a Voda franchise owner. And the one thing I will tell you is the content thing, it is not going away, and you should consider, really strongly consider doing it. And trust me, it's cringy. I don't even like doing it. I don't want to post my workouts or my personal life on Instagram and LinkedIn. But what I'm learning is it's working. And at the end of the day, I'm willing to sacrifice a little bit of discomfort or a little bit of, of feeling a little uncomfortable for the value of my ultimate goal of recruiting great people, recruiting great franchise owners, sharing my story. And now what I'm realizing is inspiring other people, or again, inspiring me 10 years ago. That's what I'm focused on now. I'm going to inspire me from 10 years ago, and I'm going to teach myself 10 years ago the things I wish I knew, then. And then hopefully other people are going to benefit from that. So to kind of start on that topic, these are the these are the things that I was thinking about this morning on the treadmill, and I wrote down things that I wish I knew earlier. So I'm going to share it with you. If I can grab my younger self by the shoulders for 60 seconds, I'd say this: relax. You're going to be fine. And then I'd tell him these things. Number one, keep working hard early in life. Hard work compounds as fast as money, right? They say the sixth wonder of the, or eighth wonder of the world is compound interest. Well, when you work hard and you work at a young age, that hard work compounds as fast, if not faster than money. And what compounds even faster than that is relationship equity. I've been working with some of the same people for 13 years, 14 years, years. They were my friend in business since I was 22 years old. They've watched me grow up. Those relationships, the authenticity, the trust, there's some of them are going to be at my wedding. Like, these are real relationships, and they compound, right? And so relationships compound, the hard work compounds. I would start working as hard as humanly possible in your, early 20s and before that, to see the compounding effect. Number two, I tell myself to stop worrying. Almost nothing that I was anxious about today or back then has mattered at all in any way. Like, it was, work hard, but don't be anxious. And I'm actually trying to teach myself that now because, for example, I'm in my apartment right now. I'm in Manhattan. It's a beautiful day. I have a great life. And if you told me 10 years ago I lived here where I'm at today, that I had the company that I have today and I have the lifestyle that I have today, it would seem unreasonably, like, no way, right? In some ways, it was like, of course, I'll be successful. And then in other ways, it was like, I don't even know how I can afford that, right? And I go through that now. I'm 33. I have friends that are 50. I have friends that are, I was just out last night. We were in a beautiful apartment, and we're thinking like, oh my God, when do I get to have this? And it's like 10 years away, let's say, 5 years away. It seems so crazy, but you're going to get there, right? So it's like, enjoy where you're at. Don't be worried. Work hard, but like, enjoy the process and know you're going to get there. And everything's going to work out. And then things that don't, you'll overcome. Number three, don't anchor yourself to a place, a person, a company, title outside of family and future wife, etc. Optionality is freedom. Like, I've had so many times where I thought this friend, like, I love having great friends. I've had some of the same friends since I was 6 years old, but I've lost friends, and I've realized not everyone gets to come on my journey and into every chapter of my life. They don't get to come, and it's not that there's anything wrong with them or there's anything wrong with me. It's just that each chapter, not everyone comes along with you on every chapter. And by the way, when you level up, like, the ultimate sign that you're leveling up usually is that you will level out of social circles. Like, most people, they want you to stay the way that they knew you. They want you to be who you were. Like, it's very normal. I've done it too to people, right? If you had these friends and you were a certain way and you did certain things and you had certain hobbies, and then you met new standards for yourself and you start making new friends and you are the average of the 5 people you hang out with, well, all of a sudden the people you used to hang out with may not make sense for you anymore, because you're not aligned to where you want to go. And that's okay. Not everyone gets to come to every chapter of your life, nor do you get to go to everyone's chapter. And that's fine. What I would do looking back is I'd focus more on family, obviously still focus on friends, but I could have done that better. Some of my, cousins and aunts and uncles, like, I'm like, looking back, my mom passed away when I was in my mid-20s. I would have spent more time with her, looking back. Again, everything's 2020 in hindsight. But when I look back in the rear view mirror, I realize what I'll tell my kids in the future is focus on friends, and friends can be like family, but family comes first. Next is These are some things I had to learn the hard way. Ego, put it down. If you get rid of it, you move so much faster. I wish I had the lack of ego that I have now 5 years ago. Protect your health early. I can't change in the past, few years. I totally lost my fitness. Now I'm back and I'm going to be back to where I want to be fitness wise. And I think in, 4 months, let's say. I'm very determined, but I grew up throughout my better part of my life, my, childhood, my teens, my 20s in phenomenal shape. And it was a big part of my identity. And then I lost it. If I were to go back, I would never lose that consistency. My favorite one is play long games with good people. And that's the real cheat code. Play long games with good people. For me, at this point in my life, I am uninterested in anything that's not long term. Like if it's a relationship and it's not gonna be long term, I don't want it. Like I don't want friendships that are short term. I don't want transactional relationships. I don't want transactional experiences. I don't want to do things that aren't long term. I don't want to build businesses that aren't long term. I want to play long games with great people for long periods of time. I want to work with the same people for 30 years. Yeah, I'm going to work with new people too. But playing long games with great people, that's my favorite one. Tell the truth sooner than later. It always saves time. If you always tell the truth, you never have to worry about remembering anything, right? Everything's the truth. And so this should be, ultimate. Build relationships before you need them. The best ones are agenda free. This is something that I think I did learn very young. I've never seen any relationship. I try really hard to build real relationships in business, whether I need something or not, or they need something. I've watched relationships shift all the time. And what I've really learned over playing long games with good people is that leverage between relationships is a seesaw. Sometimes I'm going to have the leverage. Sometimes you're going to have the leverage. And one of the best things you can do is never use the leverage. Never use it. Never use it against someone. And hopefully they never use it against you. And if you do that, your relationship can work in the long term because you have a never ending swing of a pendulum of leverage in all relationships, especially business ones. And so build relationships before you need them and never leverage your leverage in a relationship. Because if you're playing long games with good people, leverage is going to swing back and forth or like a seesaw up and down between the two of you. Looking back, you don't need all the answers. Just take the next step. And really, life has a funny way of rewarding patience, consistency, and a calm confidence. If I could go back, I would work just as hard, maybe even harder, but I would have been calmer. I would have believed in myself more, and I would have enjoyed the experience of what I was doing more than being so focused on the outcome. Now, 10 years from now, me is trying to talk to me now to do these things. And so anyway, thanks for tuning in. I thought this was, a different take on my podcast. Leave a comment, shoot me a message. I really want to identify how to do this in a way where it starts to take off. So thanks again. And I'll see you on the next one.
You're f***ing fired.
If you want to say those words to your boss, make sure you head on over to ifiredmybosspodcast.com and fill out the form to schedule a no-cost consultation. And if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share with a friend who might also want to fire their boss.